how do you think that early part of your life shaped you as a person, and which aspects of your early life do you think have carried through to today?
Yes. So I always say my story started before I was born. So it started with my parents' decision to come to the UK and their unexpected, unwanted experiences, challenges, and the discrimination that they faced. So I think that's really helped to shape me today. And it's amazing how they coped in an environment that was so hostile to them, one that perhaps many listeners will never understand. And they, like others, were the epitome of resilience. They learned to be resourceful. They knew how to build supportive networks in order to survive the hostility. But I think one of the most important messages that we heard growing up, and certainly one of the messages that I absorbed growing up, was the need to work hard. Now you can imagine as a child, working hard was kind of, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to play. I wanted to play and I wanted to continue to have fun with my siblings. But we were kind of encouraged to work harder than anyone else, and that we needed to do that in order to stand still. So I didn't understand that at the time. And so my parents told us stories about their experiences, and that actually said that if you came from our background, our culture, our ethnicity, our heritage, that actually life wasn't fair, and that we needed to work harder than our colleagues, our friends who were born and raised here, if we wanted to end up in the same position, or if indeed we wanted to progress. So eventually I understood that story through my own experiences. Eventually I understood that story, and I understood that that story is not the same for many today. But that's one of the things that often resonates in the back of me, that Jacynth, you do have to work a little bit harder. You do have to do things a little bit differently in order to be seen, to be heard, and to progress.
It's interesting that you said you had to work harder to stand still.
Yeah.
You clearly haven't stood still, so you've worked, by the looks of it, extremely hard to get to where you are today. So how long, you mentioned that you eventually understood that. What age was that? When did you begin to kind of realize and understand what that meant?
Well, that's interesting. So my first lesson that always resonates with me was in primary school, and I had a friend. So there weren't very many people who looked like me in primary school, hardly any. And one of my friends, her and I used to do our maths together during class. And she went up first, and the teacher praised her and said how wonderful she was. She sat down. I went up after, and we'd done this exactly the same. And he looked at me, put a line through it, and said, "You'll never be any good at maths, and you'll never make anything of yourself." And that resonated, excuse me, with me throughout my life. And so, as a consequence, anytime there was anything to do with maths, I'd just automatically say, "I'm no good. I can't do maths.
Mm.
This isn't for me." And one day, my husband said to me, you've got to stop telling yourself this story, because it's not true. You've got to stop telling yourself this story. And when I reflected back and I realized, well, I could do maths. I had to do it through my nurse training. I did it for my O levels. I was supporting my children with their maths. So it's amazing how some of those early messages,
Mm.
yeah, really resonate, really stay with you, and can have an amazing impact on the things that you think about yourself and your ability.
Mm.